have the comedic element to it, or if you went in just totally with John's tags?
Well, you know, I'm going to let Antoinette speak. That's a good
I'm not
question.
sure that I'm interested. Can you repeat the question?
Did you ever intend for the movie to have a comedic effect where the audience laughed a little bit at certain scenes, maybe anxious or not? Did you ever intend for it to be any kind of comic effect?
Yes, I think. Because I think that very much we thought about it. We thought about it as being a story about a couple that did have the wherewithal and the ambition to create this creature, because we thought that science is evolving, and since we've been working on this project so long, it was kind of a process of science getting faster and faster and faster. And as Vincenzo has said before, it took, what did you say? They did the whole human genome faster than we wrote the script, or faster than we could get the script produced. So I think that science was always a character in the film, in that we thought of especially Elsa being a creature herself that thought that she wanted to get this done because she knew that she could get this done, or she had the capacity to get this done. So within that, though, we also saw a, the human factor of bringing someone in. So it was always that. So I think that we did anticipate the comedy. Not you said the comedy, but that because that's life, of how you deal with a new creature that you bring into your life. But it's also the horror of having it not be, having it be where it came from, and having them, gone on this, journey that never would really, go on. And then as far as the, I don't know, if you could speak to the comedy now. The comedy sex,
well,
so I can speak to that very
Well,
well.
Antoinette and I spent a lot of time, contemplating these sort of ridiculous situations, because you have essentially family drama, except that the baby's, creature, and that's just funny. There's no getting around that. And I think that's that's apropos. And I think Clive and Elsa think it's funny too, a little bit. I mean, I think they see the absurdity of their situation, and I think Sarah and Adrian really played it well. There are moments where Adrian looks at Sarah like, "You're completely insane," and so I think that's just part of their lives, and yeah, it seemed natural to the movie. I mean, I think comedy and horror are just very comfortable bedfellows. Bride of Frankenstein obviously being an influence on this film, and being a prime example of that. Yes?
I didn't quite understand the transition where it seemed as though she had died and then all of a sudden she comes back alive.
I think that's a really good question. I think it's maybe a weakness in the movie, because in fact, what we shot was Sarah and Adrian giving Dren, or I should say Clive and Elsa giving Dren a lethal injection. Because, they were going to kill her, so that they could just end the whole thing. When we finished the cut, we felt that there were problems with that. Chiefly, it just seemed to cause confusion, because if they gave her a lethal injection, then how is she resurrected? And in my mind, I always said, well, because she's, the next step in evolution, they didn't kill her. They thought they did, but they didn't. But it seemed to open up more questions or more issues than it resolved. So we just took it out. And that's actually how it was written in our earlier draft. But the notion is that Dren is going into some kind of, hibernation type state, because she is going through some sort of metabolic change. And it gives the appearance of her being dead, but she's not. And also, I think at that stage, she's just so abused. She's just been emotionally and physically that I think she kind of almost been wanting to die. And a good question. It's something I sort of bump on when I watch the movie. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Going back to the audience response, the film that you have sat in, is the audience response, so you thought about the comedy within the film and the very serious moments. Has the audience response been pretty much what you anticipated, or has there been a response that's been unexpected?
It's always unexpected. Like every time I haven't screened a film for an audience other than the people who worked on the movie that often. So we had our premiere screening was in Spain at a festival there, and then, as I say, there was the screening at Park City a couple of days ago, and that was it. And unfortunately, I wasn't actually in the room here today. So, but I find that different audiences react in different ways, and I think this is a kind of movie that elicits different responses from different people. I fully expect some people to absolutely hate this movie. I did not make this movie to please everybody. I'd almost be disappointed if a few people can hate it. Like, I think it should be that sort of film that inspires that, kind of division in the audience. But yeah, there was a line like the screening on Friday. What was it? People thought it was so funny. I'm like, what? But I can't remember what it was.
So, just
Yes.
to follow up, you worked on the film since the mid-90s?
That was the very beginning, the very kernel of it was, yeah.
So, if you were to point to maybe one of the things, what was the overall inspiration of this film? Because just as watching it, there would seem like there was a plot twist that I didn't expect.
Oh, thanks. Well,
That's a good thing.
yeah, that is a good thing. I mean, well, I think that really the inspiration for this film, weirdly, came from a mouse. It's probably a mouse that you're all familiar with, because around that time, 10, 12 years ago, some scientists created a mouse that looked like it had a human ear on its back, if you ever saw that. It wasn't really a human ear. It was they created an armature underneath the mouse's skin and grew cartilage from cells taken from a cow around that armature. It wasn't even a genetic experiment, but it was such a shocking image, and I just knew I wanted to make a film about genetic engineering, something related to that. And then we wrote a short film based, sort of starting from that point. And the mouse with the ear made various cameos in different drafts of the script. Ultimately, his part was cut, but that's where it started. Yes.
The compilation of creatures that went into Drain, can you speak to that and what renderings or what inspirations you used to compile the creature as a group?
Sure, and maybe I'm going to hand Mike over to Bob soon too, because you should talk later. They're somewhat related to that.
Only when you think it's necessary.
He's a very witty and smart guy. Bob is responsible for Dren, by the way. Like, this is his incredible work. But the inspiration for Dren, my sort of take on the science is that when in the mathematics of Clive and Elsa's genetic work, 1 + 1 = 3. So you take a gene from one species and you add it to another, and you get something that is greater than the sum of its parts. That's why Dren is composed of many, many different things, and some of them are visible in her anatomy, some of them are not, and some of them combine to make something totally different. I never wanted her to be like a mermaid, like a girl with a tail slapped on, or a fish tail stuck on her, or an angel, just a girl with wings on her. I never wanted the various parts to be that distinguishable, except maybe the human part. And again, this is all, my take on the science, but the notion is that somehow in splicing Dren's DNA, Clive and Elsa have inadvertently activated what's known as junk genes, which we all have them. It's just, in fact, composes a large part of our DNA. It's inactive genes that are just left over from evolution. So the notion is that there's all this stuff in her that Clive and Elsa didn't even plan to put in her, but has somehow been activated. And that's why they don't really even know what she's going to become. She keeps surprising them. But in terms of the design process,